waiting. Seems like we do it all the time, don't we? Hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. Well, waiting's kind of important, isn't it? We teach our kids that you can't have everything right now. It's not instant gratification. Right now, I'm waiting for Sarah to get her vaccine. A good thing. You know, Lent is a kind of a time of waiting as well. Think about waiting in Advent, a different season, but that kind of waiting is for something that we're looking forward to, a hope of Jesus' birth. Lent is a totally different type of waiting, a type of waiting for something kind of bad, for Jesus' death. It's a season where we grow closer to the cross. And so in this season of waiting, it's almost like we don't want to get there. You know, the interesting thing is God always does good work out of bad situations. And truthfully, that's what Lent is all about. The good work at the end of the season of waiting. We don't want to go through this time where Jesus has to die on a cross. In fact, you know, Peter didn't even want that. He yelled at Jesus when Jesus told him, I've got to go to the cross. Peter said, no. We can fight him off. We can do this. Jesus' response was one of the strongest ever. He said to Peter, his friend, his disciple, "Get behind me, Satan." Called Peter the devil for trying to think that he could do something to keep Jesus from this moment. It's interesting. Waiting for Sarah to get a vaccine, something that's good, but comes out of a time that's hard, right? Comes out of this time of quarantine and death and anger and and yet something good comes out of it at the end. This season of vaccination, little glimmer of hope. You know, that's the thing, is that, like, you can't have that glimmer of hope until you've gone through the darkness, until you've been through that difficult time. You can't know the brightness of the sunshine, which is shining awesomely today, until you go through those cloudy days, those dark days, those stormy days, those snowy days. And it makes it even more beautiful. $500,000 deaths is not a good thing. It's a dark thing. But we have hope that someday we will get past this. And it begins with the season of vaccinations. This season of Lent, I wonder if you can get through this time knowing that we have to go through the darkness of the season, knowing that we have to go through the darkness of Jesus' death, so that we can experience the light and the joy at the other end. His resurrection. We can't really celebrate that. We can't really be excited about that until we've gone through the darkness of Calvary. So what are you waiting for? Is it a season of darkness? Is there a little glimmer of hope at the end? God is here in the midst of this. In the midst of this journey, in the midst of this season of Lent, God is here. And I hope that you will feel his presence. Sometimes we just have to wait. Our culture tells us we got to do and do and do and do and be and be and be. And Jesus goes and sits on the side of a mountain. He escapes the crowds and goes out onto a boat. That sounds pretty Minnesotan, isn't it? Escapes the crowds and goes to a boat. Just so he can wait and be with God. So if you're waiting, don't get twisted up in emotions and worry. Wait knowing that God is with you. And that oftentimes in the midst of our most difficult days, there is a light at the end. A light that gives us a little glimmer of hope. That reminds us that the worst thing is not the last thing. So if you're going through the worst thing right now, remember, this isn't the last thing. There's more to come. That's what it means to be an Easter people. A Christian. Someone who believes in the resurrection. I know it's been difficult for many of us to be away from each other, to not be worshiping in person together, and I am looking forward to that day more than ever. We're coming up on a year of not being together. And I see hope at the end of this. I hope you do too. God be with you in this season. Season of waiting. The season of Lent.